In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what the belt system means to me, as how I think belts are earned, or what subject matter we cover with our belts. And that's a tough subject because in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, there is no set in stone thing for everybody to get awarded belts on. Like, one school, it's completely different from another school. There are a lot of commonalities, there's a lot of similarities, but there's no set codified rule across all schools that people award belts by. And because there's so much confusion and there's so much kind of non-standardization, I'm going to explain to me what the belts mean. And for me, the good analogy is language, right? Like, because fighting is essentially just another form of communication. So the idea is, at white belt, you're learning individual technique. Individual technique, like learning individual vocabulary words when you learn a new language. And that's solid. That's not to say that you can't communicate, you can't get along in that language. You're just not fluent. You could know how to say the word for bathroom and walk up to somebody and just go bathroom with a dumb look on your face, and they will kind of figure out what you mean. So your use of individual vocabulary words can be effective in communication. Is just not going to be pretty, and you're not going to be able to communicate complex ideas or have a meaningful debate or change anybody's mind on a very important subject using single words. But you can get by, you can survive, right? So white belt in Jiu-Jitsu, to me, is individual basic technique that allows you to communicate, that allows you to defend yourself on a very rudimentary level, but it's not going to be fluent and it's not going to be pretty. That's white belt. To me, blue belt is learning full sentences, like learning how to actually put words together. Instead of saying bathroom with a dumb look on your face, you might be able to say, actually, where is the bathroom? You know what I mean? I speak a minuscule amount of Japanese, so the idea is, in Japanese, ikura means price or cost, right? So I could just point at something and go ikura, and they'll figure out that I mean cost or price, and they might tell me how much it costs, but I'm not communicating well with that person, right? If I walked up and said are wa ikura desu ka, that means how much is that thing that I'm pointing at, So that's a little bit more fluent communication. It's the ability to communicate a little bit more clearly. I'm still not conversational, and I still can't pick up on slang and get like depth of meaning across, but like I'm actually piecing things together and more clearly communicating my idea. So that, to me, is blue belt. So at blue belt, we focus on revisiting the basic techniques, but we put them together in structures. So we work on start to finish drills, we work on give and take drills, flow drills, these different drills that combine taking those techniques and piecing them together in more complete ideas, right? So that's blue belt to me. Purple belt is getting a feel for your personal style of communication. So purple belt, if we're going to use the language analogy, purple belt to me is colloquialisms, picking up on regional slangs and being able to say whatever, like stupid stuff we take for granted in language. Cool. Like, obviously you're not talking about temperature when you describe something as cool. You're talking about it being, positive or whatever. So the idea is that in purple belt level jiu-jitsu, to me, you're starting to kind of freestyle a little bit. You're taking bits of one move and applying it. You're taking the arm position from this move and the hip pressure from this move and putting them together into a new move, where you're using advanced movements or things that aren't quite on the basic curriculum, but they work. And it's like coming up with a word that nobody's ever used in that way before, but everybody around you gets the point of what you're saying because you understand the use of language. So that's purple belt jiu-jitsu. So on purple belt, I insist that our guys go out and find moves that are not on the curriculum, whether they get them from me or other schools or make them up themselves or God forbid, YouTube or whatever. So at purple belt, you are learning how to break off of the basic curriculum and get into your own personal style of jiu-jitsu, right? For me, brown belt is about learning how to teach. That's because to explain things to someone, you have to have a dead clear idea of them. So it's kind of like people that speak English their entire lives. I speak English well, you know what I mean? I can speak good, but man, I couldn't teach a college class. I couldn't teach a high school class on English. I don't know. I know participle is a word that has something to do with English, but I have no clue as to what it is or what it means. You know what I mean? So like, I can speak English. I've been speaking English my entire life, 4 decades, right? But I couldn't explain a lot of the English language to you because I don't understand it that well. To me, that's brown belt. At brown belt, you start investigating the techniques at such a depth that you can understand them, the reasons, the purposes, the histories, where they came from, how they developed, and you can explain them in depth and effectively to other students. I think that creates the idea of what I always say about looking through a microscope and not a telescope. It makes you take these things that you can already see and look at them deeper and find the layers and the levels at which you're not normally going to see unless you look very deeply. So that to me is brown belt, where you're going back to the white belt curriculum, but you're looking on a level that is entirely in depth to a degree that you can't really. You can be fluent, you can do jiu-jitsu well, you can speak English well, and still not know those specificities of things. So that's brown belt to me. And then black belt to me is still very. I feel like at black belt, the idea is that you're in charge of developing other people. I think it's kind of your duty at that point to try to give back and to help other people learn. So I think at black belt, basically, you just direct your own training and you direct the training of others. I think at that point you have enough knowledge that you should be able to kind of make changes in your game and your training and look around you and make changes in others' games and other people's training to help everyone develop. So, I hope that helps people understand, in my mind and in my system, what the belts are like and what they're supposed to be and the kind of material you can expect to cover at each belt. That's it. Thanks for checking out the video.